Before you head towards the story, I would really appreciate if you subscribe my channel, please. The first time I saw her, I knew we wouldn't be exchanging holiday casseroles. She stood in the driveway of the house next door, arms crossed, surveying the neighborhood like a general inspecting a battlefield. Her sharp eyes locked onto my overgrown hedges, then flicked down to the chipped paint on my mailbox. Her lips pursed, a silent, judgmental tsk that carried louder than words. I waved. "Anyway, hey there. Your garbage bin is blocking the sidewalk," she interrupted, voice crisp as a freshly starched shirt. "City ordinance states it must be at least 3 feet from pedestrian pathways. I'd hate for someone to report you." And just like that, Karen, though I didn't know her name yet, established the rules of engagement. Over the next few weeks, her campaign of petty tyranny escalated. A typed letter appeared in my mailbox citing HOA bylaws I was allegedly violating. I checked. Our street didn't have an HOA. My Amazon deliveries went missing until I found them stacked behind my trash cans, as if hidden in shame. Then came the noise complaints. First about my weekend guitar playing. "Sounds like a dying raccoon," her note claimed. Then about Biscuit, my perpetually sleepy golden retriever, who barked exactly once when the mailman came. Once. I tried. Diplomacy. I baked cookies, from scratch, not that it mattered, left them on her porch with a note. Looking forward to being good neighbors. The next morning, the plate sat on my doorstep, untouched. A Post-it stuck to the cling wrap. Allergic to incompetence. The breaking point came on a Thursday. I was hauling groceries inside when a police cruiser rolled up, lights off but ominous as a storm cloud. The officer's knock rattled my teeth. "Ma'am, we've received multiple complaints about your dog's excessive disturbances," he said, glancing at his notepad. A Ms. Whitmore provided video evidence. My stomach dropped. Biscuit, sprawled at my feet, let out a soft snore. "That's impossible," I said. "He's been at my parents' house since Tuesday." The cop frowned, showing me the time-stamped video. On his phone, a blurry shot of my backyard, the distinct sound of barking. But then I saw it. The reflection in Karen's window, her flat-screen TV playing a dog show at full volume. My pulse roared in my ears. She'd staged this. The officer left with a warning, but Karen's smirk as she watched from her porch said everything. This was just the beginning. I closed my door, hands shaking. She wanted a war? Fine. But she'd picked the wrong enemy, because, while she was busy playing neighborhood dictator, she'd forgotten one crucial thing. In the age of the internet, nothing stays hidden. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of scratching at my front door. Not Biscuit. He was still at my parents', but something far more unsettling. A folded sheet of paper had been slipped underneath, the crisp edges mocking me. I already knew who it was from before I even opened it. Failure to control your animal is a violation of Local Ordinance 14.7. Next time, the consequences will be more severe. No signature, no polite pretense, just a threat, typed and impersonal like a ransom note from a villain in a bad crime drama. I crumpled the paper in my fist, my jaw clenched so tight it ached. This wasn't just about Biscuit anymore. This was about power. Karen had decided she could dictate my life, and she was enjoying every second of it. I needed proof. That afternoon, I installed a security camera facing my driveway, discreet, but with a clear view of the sidewalk and her house. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd make sure I had receipts. It didn't take long. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I pulled up the feed and watched as Karen, dressed in a pristine beige cardigan like some suburban supervillain, paused in front of my trash cans. She glanced around, checking for witnesses, before deliberately nudging one of them into the middle of the sidewalk. Then, with the precision of a chess master, she pulled out her phone and took a picture. My stomach twisted. She wasn't just harassing me. She was documenting it, building a case. I saved the footage. Then I did something reckless. I walked outside. She was still there, tapping away on her phone, no doubt drafting another complaint to the city. When she saw me, her fingers stilled. "You know," I said, keeping my voice light. If you wanted me to move my trash cans, you could have just asked. Her smile was razor thin. Rules exist for a reason. Some of us actually care about maintaining standards. I held up my phone, the frozen frame of her nudging my trash can clear as day. Funny. Because this looks a lot like you breaking the rules. For a fraction of a second, her mask slipped. A flicker of panic, then it was gone, replaced by icy disdain. I have no idea what you're implying. But if you're going to make accusations, I suggest you think very carefully about the consequences. She turned on her heel and strode back inside, leaving me standing there, adrenaline humming under my skin. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Karen wasn't just petty, she was dangerous. She had the system on her side, or at least she knew how to work it. I couldn't fight her directly, but I could fight smarter. I opened my laptop and started digging. A quick search revealed her full name, Eleanor Whitmore, and a trail of online activity that made my eyebrows climb. A Nextdoor account littered with complaints about everything. From kids playing too loudly to suspicious-looking delivery drivers. A Twitter rant about how people these days have no respect for boundaries. And most damning of all, a since-deleted Facebook post where she bragged about getting a neighbor's dog taken away for barking. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. This wasn't just about me anymore. Karen had a pattern. And patterns, they're the easiest thing in the world to expose. I took a deep breath and started compiling everything. The notes, the security footage, the online posts. Then I smiled. Because if Karen wanted a war, she was about to learn the hard way. The internet, always, fights back. The glow of my laptop screen cast long shadows across my living room as I pieced together the digital trap. Karen had spent months documenting my supposed violations. Now it was my turn. I edited the security footage into a tight sequence, her nudging the trash can, her smirk as she photographed her own handiwork, the way she glanced around like a thief checking for witnesses. Then I spliced in her online rants, her deleted Facebook posts, the Nextdoor tirades, all time-stamped, all undeniable. But raw evidence wasn't enough. This needed narrative. I typed a title, Meet Karen, the neighbor who harasses people for fun with proof. My finger hovered over the upload button. Once this went live, there was no going back. Biscuit, sensing my tension, rested his chin on my knee with a whine. I scratched behind his ears. Don't worry, buddy. She started this. The post went up at 9:17 p.m. on a Tuesday, prime internet hours. I shared it to every local Facebook group, subreddit, and neighborhood app I could find, then messaged 3 drama channels known for calling out bad behavior. Within minutes, my phone began vibrating like a live wire. This is insane. She moved your trash can? Psycho behavior. Post this on TikTok ASAP. By midnight, the video had been shared thousands of times. By 3 a.m., someone had remixed Karen's trash can shove into a meme set to the Mission Impossible theme. When I woke up, my inbox was flooded with screenshots. Karen's employer's Instagram flooded with comments. Her yoga studio's page tagged in replies asking if they condone harassment. But the real masterpiece came from an anonymous Twitter account, a clip of Karen's own live stream where she'd caught Biscuit barking, with the TV reflection clearly visible. Someone had edited in a flashing, caught in 4K watermark and Benny Hill music. It had 500,000 views. I was stirring cream into my coffee when my doorbell rang. Karen stood on my porch, her usual crisp blazer replaced by a rumpled sweatshirt, her hair hastily pulled back. For the first time, she looked small. "You need to take that video down," she hissed, her voice trembling. They're calling my job." I took a slow sip of coffee. "Funny, that's exactly what I said when you called the cops. On my dog." Her face flushed mottled red. "This is different. You're ruining my life." I leaned against the doorframe. "No, Karen. You did that yourself. I'm just holding up the mirror." A notification buzzed on her phone. She glanced down, and her breath hitched. I didn't need to see the screen to know. Another wave of backlash, another angry tag. another meme immortalizing her pettiness. She looked up, and for one fleeting second, I saw genuine fear. Then she spun on her heel and stalked away, her shoulders hunched against the invisible storm. I closed the door gently. My phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. Check Karen's next door. It's happening. I pulled up the app. There it was, a post from Karen herself titled, "I've made mistakes." The body text was a rambling apology, half-hearted and stuffed with excuses. I was stressed. I care too much about our community. But the comments were a bloodbath. Dozens of replies from people I'd never met. Neighbors sharing their own Karen encounters. Parents whose kids she'd yelled at for riding bikes. An elderly man whose rose bushes she'd reported as unruly. Vegetation. The tide had turned, and Karen, she had no idea how much worse it was about to get. The moving van arrived at dawn. I watched from my kitchen window as Karen, no, Eleanor Whitmore, directed movers with stiff robotic gestures. The same hands that had penned those petty notes now clutched a cardboard box like it was the last. Life raft on a sinking ship. Her perfect posture had collapsed into something defeated, her shoulders rounded against the early morning chill. Biscuit whined at my feet, sensing the tension. "It's okay, boy," I murmured, scratching behind his ears. "She can't hurt us anymore." But the universe wasn't done yet. A sleek sedan pulled up, and a woman in a sharp pantsuit stepped out, Karen's boss. Judging by the way Karen immediately straightened, up that old mask of superiority slipping back into place. The conversation was too far to hear, but the body language spoke volumes. Karen's desperate gestures, the way her boss kept shaking her head. The final, devastating moment when the woman handed Karen a sealed envelope. Termination papers. Should have felt triumphant. Instead, I just felt tired. Then my doorbell rang. Karen stood on my porch, her eyes red-rimmed but dry. No snide remarks, no thinly veiled threats, just a woman who'd finally run out of power. "You win," she said, her voice stripped bare of its usual venom. "Are you happy now?" I studied her, really studied her, for the first time. The fine lines around her mouth that no amount of Botox could hide. The way her manicured nails were bitten down to the quick. This wasn't just a villain. This was a person who'd spent so long building walls that she'd trapped herself inside. "I didn't want to win," I said quietly. "I just wanted you to stop." A muscle twitched in her jaw. For a second, I thought she might actually apologize. Then her phone buzzed. Another notification in what was surely an endless barrage. And that familiar sneer twisted her lips. "Enjoy your little victory lap," she spat, turning away. "People like you always crack." The sound split the morning. Karen froze as her designer heel snapped clean off in a pothole she'd reported 6 times, but never bothered to fix properly. For one perfect suspended moment, the universe held its breath. Then Biscuit barked, a single cheerful woof that shattered the tension like glass. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not a mean laugh, not the cruel cackle Karen probably imagined. Just human. Something shifted in Karen's face. Not surrender. Not quite. But the faintest crack in that polished armor. She opened her mouth. Probably to deliver some final cutting remark when her phone rang. The caller ID flashed HOA President. Her face went pale. I closed the door gently, leaving her standing there, broken heel in hand, as the movers loaded the last of her things. Through the window, I watched her answer the call, her free hand, clenching into a fist. Whatever was being said, it wasn't good. By noon, she was gone. That evening, I sat on my porch with Biscuit, scrolling through the aftermath. Karen's LinkedIn had been updated. Seeking new opportunities, with a comments section full of popcorn emojis. The local news had picked up the story. Viral video leads to neighborhood justice, though they'd blurred my name and face. And in a delicious twist of irony, someone had started a GoFundMe to repair all the potholes on our street, including the one that claimed Karen's shoe. As the sunset painted the sky in victory colors, my phone buzzed. A text from a neighbor I'd never spoken to before. BBQ this weekend? You're officially the block hero. Biscuit woofed softly, his tail thumping against the porch boards. I scratched his favorite spot behind his ears and smiled. Some battles leave everyone broken. This one just left room for something better.